This is the Amp Academy by NUX and is definitely one of the more interesting and useful pedals that I've tried this year. As you might know, the Tonex pedal is the current flavour of the week, and with good reason. It's an amazing pedal, but I wouldn't be too quick to overlook this pedal in favour of one, and hopefully it will become clear exactly why when we take a closer look at the Amp Academy. So it has 12 amp models, 6 on the cleaner side and 6 on the dirtier side. It has controls on the front for gain, master, boost, noise gate, bass, middle, treble and presence, a mode switch for the cleaner side labelled vintage, classic and modern, and a mode switch for the heavier side which is labelled brown, red and iridium. 3 scenes or 3 versions of the dual amp presets, a DI ground lift switch on the back as well as an IR on-off switch, 1 foot switch that toggles between A, which is a lower gain amp, and B, a higher gain amp, a 2nd foot switch which scrolls through the 3 scenes, an effects loop which uses the included send and return splitter cable. It's got USB functionality for recording, firmware updates and access to Amp Academy editor. It's got a DI output using an XLR connection, which is a very big deal for those of us who gig, an auxiliary input for backing tracks and that kind of thing, a headphone output and a mains connector input, so you can't use batteries or anything like that with this. You've got to use a proper adapter or another kind of power source. So I'm sure you can already see that's a ton of features for something that's so compact. One of the really cool things about this unit is that you can turn off the IR or cab sims to the output that goes to your amp, but leave the cab sims on using the XLR output that you can send to your sound engineer or front of house. This means that you'll be able to get traditional in the room sounds on stage, but a high quality studio sound with no mic bleed going straight to the PA, so no worrying about miking up speakers or accidentally moving the mic once you found a sweet spot. You'll have perfect and consistent sound every time. This is especially cool if you're using in-ears. And because there is so much crammed into this tiny thing, navigating and adjusting can be a bit fiddly, so I highly recommend downloading the Amp Academy software from the NUX website. It'll make editing and saving presets so much easier, and it will also give you access to some hidden amp models as well. Out of the box you can access 6 amps, but connected to the Amp Academy software you can choose to swap any of those 6 out for another 6. Stock, it comes with a twin reverb, a Vibra King, Cali Crunch, Friedman HBE, a dual rectifier and an Uber shell, but when you connect it to Amp Academy you can then choose a Super Reverb, a Dr. Z, a Marshall Bluesbreaker, an 800, an SLO 100 or my favourite, the Diesel VH4. It comes loaded with its own high quality IRs which sound really good, but you can also load in some of your own as well. Okay, so we'll run through some of these sounds, starting off with the JCM 800. And then we can put a tube screamer on that. And next we've got the Friedman HBE. We'll add on a tube screamer. Okay, next let's try the dual rectifier. Typical rectifier kind of bloatedness, so add on the tube screamer, that should help. It's got the SLO 100s. I've got the Bogner Uber Shell. Okay, so last of all the high gain amps is the Diesel VH4. Okay, so a quick look at the cleaner ones. This is the twin reverb. Next up is the super reverb. The Vibro King. So the Dr. Z. It's a nice crunch. Cali crunch. And lastly, the Marshall Blues Breaker. So the things that I like about the Amp Academy are its size. It takes up very little pedalboard space. The actual amp modelling quality, the sound quality, I'm totally happy with that. It sounds very, very good. It feels really well built. It's all built out of metal and it feels good. I like that it includes a boost, like a tube screamer type thing, which is very useful. I like that you can use your own IRs and that it has an XLR output, which the Tonex doesn't have. Also, it has an effects loop, which the Tonex doesn't have. I like that it uses USB-C and not mini or micro, which some other brands are using at the moment. I like that it has 12 amps, because with 12 amps, you're not really going to get option paralysis. And I really like the ability to send an IR front of house and the preamp sounds to your power amp on stage. And the things that I would maybe change about this, I'd probably change the reverb for delay, and that's completely subjective. I just find delay more useful. The fact that you need a computer to get the most out of this unit, that's a bit of a downside. I wouldn't bother with the drum machine looper stuff, again, that's subjective. Power over USB would make this more convenient as an interface like the Focusrite Scarlett stuff is. An actual MIDI as opposed to MIDI over USB, which Tonex does have. And so who is this for? I would say it's for people who play live using minimal tones, more likely original music, not really function or covers bands. People who want a small recording setup with no additional interface. Higher gain alternative to the Strymon and Iridium. People that want to program instead of profile, and people who want a really good sounding backup to a real rig or to a modelling rig. This would be ideal. I really like this pedal. For £170, you're getting a lot, and I think it sounds very good. It's not going to be for everyone, but for those who it is made for, I think you're going to be very happy with this pedal. A few months back, I made a video for the Recto by NUX, which is basically a rectifier in a box type pedal. It's really affordable, about £40 or something like that. Sounds very good. It's well worth checking out, and you can find that video just there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.